Good evening. I'd like to thank everyone for coming this evening and call to order our August 21st board meeting. This is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public comment during the meeting as indicated on the agenda. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Chambers, when you're ready, if you'll call roll, please.
Mr. Nichols?
Here.
Mr. Ross?
Here.
Mr. West?
Here.
Ms. Pritchard?
Here.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. First up on the agenda, we do have an executive session for preparation for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment. I wanted to check with the board to see if it is necessary to move into executive session, or if not, we can bypass this and waive it. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion to move into exec, or we do not need to? If no one needs to, we don't have to.
Oh.
Okay, then we will just move on. Thank you. Minutes. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the rescheduled regular meeting on July 13th, 2023 minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the rescheduled meeting on July the 13th. I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. West. Thank you, Mr. Ross. Any questions or comments, changes to these minutes? Hearing none, Mr. Chambers, roll please.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll make a motion to approve the meeting, the special meeting minutes on August 2nd.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Thank you, Ms. Pritchard. Any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Chambers?
Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Ms. Parkhurst?
I'm going to abstain as I was ill and unable to attend that meeting. Thank you. Any additions, removals, or modifications to this evening's consent agenda?
I'd like a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Pritchard. Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Mr. Chambers, roll when you're ready.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sable, you're up.
I'd like to start by welcoming all of our families, our Board of Education, our students, our staff, our administration, back to the 23-24 school year. We did welcome all of our new staff to the school district. I want to thank our HR department for doing an outstanding job making our new employees feel welcomed. We talked throughout the summer about the hard work that they did to bring in the highest quality of people to work with our students. Then they were indoctrinated into our school district before the rest of our employees came. Following that, we did hold a convocation last week before our students' arrival with all of our staff, and we introduced our theme for the upcoming school year. We do like to have a focus every school year that we highlight in all of our classrooms, our school buses, our kitchens, and really in every aspect and component. That theme really indoctrinates everything that we're focusing on in terms of our strategic plan, as well as our portrait of a bee, and helps us to focus on a specific area for that school year with our work. This year's focus is evolving for the future through a lens of hope. And if the camera can actually focus on Mr. Ross, he's got one of our really cool T-shirts on that our staff are able to purchase, and our administrators and board wore to opening day. This is our message because of all the work that we've done over the course of the past 8 to 10 years. We've been very fortunate to really implement a lot of new programming and really evolve what we've been doing as a school district in moving forward and advancing education in Medina City schools to prepare our students for the modern era. No longer in Medina City schools is it a standard to have desks in a row and teachers teaching from the front of the room. We believe, per our portrait of a bee, that it takes a lot more than just the delivery of content to make sure students are prepared to be successful. And we're embracing the continuation of that evolving. And we've got even more evolving happening within the district. We've got physical evolving as we're looking at redistricting next school year that's going into place. As we're looking at bond and levy issue going on the ballot in November. Finances that have allowed us to do the things and put the things in place that we have over the last 8 to 10 years. An important piece of that is a message of hope. And you talk about hope, and hope is not a wish to us. Hope is actually a plan. Hope is giving people the ability within our school district to take risks. We want to empower our employees to do what's best and to trust them as professionals within the classroom to advance what they're doing as educators. We want to allow them flexibility to create their own pathways in order to work towards the common goals that we've created with our community, with our staff, and with our parents in our portrait of a bee, as well as in our strategic plan. So it's those combined efforts that are going to create the hope, and it's the collaboration working together that we can help create hope in each other for the changes that are coming before us. So that's our message for the upcoming school year. We're in a very special place here, not only in Medina City Schools, but in the Medina community and the communities that make up our school district. And that's going to allow us to continue to be successful and to continue to be one of the top districts in the state. Another message that we shared with our staff that's important for the board to know is we often talk about things like test scores and the state report card, which we know is an important component. And we have shared with our staff during the opening days that although those are important, they are not going to be our main focus this school year. And the reason why is our main focus is providing the best instruction and instructional strategies in our classrooms. And if we are continuing to provide the best instructional strategies in our classrooms, the state report card and the state test scores will naturally come. So we want to focus on what's best for our students as we continue to evolve and move forward. In terms of our students' return to school, it was really refreshing going out and visiting our buildings this school year. And from my perspective, it was really a big change this year as compared to last year. And last year, we were coming off the pandemic, and yes, I'm using the P word, even though we're removed. But I have to say, in being in the buildings at the beginning of last year, our educators really did an outstanding job in working with our students and returning to school after they hadn't fully been in school for quite a long time because of the pandemic. And there was a lot of instruction occurring with organizational type things, and really just being together again in a school environment. That didn't exist this year. It was business as usual, and being at the high school in the morning and seeing our students arrive, and walking into the building after student arrival, and you would have thought it was March. The halls were empty, it was quiet, students were in the classrooms, and it was really the same way in every building I went in. I went over to Claggett, it was the same way. I went over and visited our elementary buildings, and they were already deep into instruction in many of the classrooms. So there really seems to be a real focus on academics and instruction, and an excitement to being back in school this school year. So we have a lot of things coming up before us this school year. Next up, our pickleball courts have been completed over at Root. We're very fortunate to be able to collaborate with the city of Medina in order to bring that project into fruition. Those courts, previously tennis courts, were really in disrepair and needed some major work. We were able to do that, to repair those in a cost-effective way, at the same time implementing some new curricular programming to our PE courses over at Root. Ryan, our business manager, was able to be a part of the ribbon cutting ceremony, and he's got some presentation materials to provide the board today.
Yeah, I wanted to share with you, it was a neat opportunity for me. It was my first ribbon cutting ceremony. So I learned a few things, and hopefully moving forward, it'll be a much smoother process for the board as well. But so I'm going to pass these around. These were some certificates that were awarded to the school for our joint project with the city, and the first one from the Board of Commissioners of Medina County. And then we have from the United States Congress, we have a certificate from Max Miller for the pickleball courts at AI Root. He was not there. He was not there, right, Sarah? And then from the United States, the Secretary's Office, we have from Frank LaRose. And the last one was from the House of Representatives, Jason Steffens in Sharon Ray's office presented an award for the pickleball courts at AI Root. But it was very nice. The Medina Rec Center Pickleball Association was in full force, so they had doubles playing on every court and people waiting to play. So it was a packed house from that standpoint. But it was a great day, and they presented us with some nice awards, so it was very appreciative.
Thank you very much. I'm glad that you were able to represent the district there, and it really has been fantastic. I live near those courts, and we walk by there every night. There are people playing and people waiting to play. My husband and I even went over and played one night ourselves, trying to learn the game, so it's very
Good.
nice. Thank you.
Yes, it should provide a lot of nice opportunities for the community and our students, so we're excited about it.
I'll say I live literally right up about the same distance as Becky from the pickleball courts, and I think the day that it opened, I think I counted at least 40 people there. Every court had 4 people on it, and there were people waiting to play. And it's first thing in the morning and all the way into the evening. And when I came here this evening, the courts were full. So it's getting use. So
That's great.
I have to tell you, Ryan, before the pickleball courts even opened, there were, and I consider it a good thing, there were a lot of angry Facebook posts that they weren't already open because there were people up there and they're like, it's locked. So I know the community was super excited about it. So it's nice to see it actually getting that use and not just, hey, the ribbon's cut, show up for a week, and then never use it again. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
And I think it's important to point out as well that we really have lived by the philosophy here at Medina City Schools that we are part of the community, and that's reflected through our many joint opportunities with the city, whether it's working on things like sharing resources like salt, or getting reduced prices and sharing diesel fuel for vehicles, or our partnership with the rec center. The pickleball courts are another example. But obviously, our main mission is working with the students within our communities, but we really, our arms and our outreach extend way beyond that in terms of providing for the communities in Medina, beyond just students, but the community as a whole. And we do see ourselves as community partners. And I would like to ask Ryan to stay up there and invite our athletic booster president up as well, Krell. They've got some exciting things to share with us. Medina High School gymnasium banners. We've talked about the new video boards going up, and we wanted to make sure that we got the board's feedback on some of the graphics that are being discussed on being displayed within the gym.
Yeah, so I have 3 boards here, and this is the material that the banners will be hanging on. It's a very light but kind of robust material, so it'll last a very long time. It's aluminum core material that they screen print on. But some things to notice, what we've discussed so far is the yellow is not our yellow. And there's items from each one that we like, but we're not sure we like them combined together. So this is something that we're looking for some input from you, or some help on deciding which direction to head. And there's some very subtle differences in the honeycombs. The one on the far left and the one on the right are inverse images of one another. So kind of where the shadowing and the shading are, they're flipped. And the one in the middle, the honeycomb is sunken instead of protruding. So I think they're just trying to show you we have many options with the honeycomb. And then the one that's got the most likes at the board office and the high school here is the top left, the way that is displayed. Although I like the solid white to read, I think that's easier, but it's distracting in the honeycomb. So we have to come up with a good compromise of what we'd like to see. So I'll be looking for your input later on that, and we can kind of discuss. But these are some of the options that are out there, and I think we can do a mix of something to get what we want.
Well, first of all, to me, these aren't banners, they're placards. I
Mhm.
mean, because a banner is going to be more like this banner. My one question is, and this team has won a lot of championships, but you look at cross-country and soccer, is there any way we can move the lines up closer to the cutoff line?
Well, yeah, and these are just a small, the banner or
Placards?
placards will be much taller.
Okay,
Yeah, so the sports that will continue to have a lot of success
Okay.
will have a lot more surface area. These are samples. Yes, samples. Krell refused to carry in a full-size placard.
Couldn't get in the car.
So those are some options, but that just is, it gives us kind of a guide of what we could be looking at.
Yeah, and probably the end result will be some sort of a mashup of the three. So what we're looking for from all of you is your feedback of what you like or what you don't like from the three.
Yeah, were we planning to take a small break at all during this meeting?
No, but we can.
Well, because we were talking about going to the weight room as well. We've, the boosters have done some work in there with some of the sports programs, and we'd like to show the board that as well, if we have, if we could do that. Okay, and then then Ron, it might be easier if I can point and show you.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, we can take a little recess now.
Okay.
And go show and then come back and chat.
Sure.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Do you guys want to wait here?
And we're back.
All right. Any questions?
I don't have many questions. I think it, looks nice, and the weight room is nice, and I'm appreciative of everybody who's donated to help make this. But this past weekend, I think, maybe Friday, we received an update from the rec center about the swimming pools.
Okay.
And it says that the competition pool, they had the tile renovations they had to cut back. That it's not. They just, I don't know whether they didn't have enough money or they didn't have enough tile.
I guess I would like to. I didn't see the context of what you're talking about, but I can tell you the progress and where they are.
Well, I know
if
they
that would
filled
help.
the pool.
Yeah, so the pool is full. They finished the Diamond Bright coating, and once you finish the Diamond Bright coating, you have to keep it wet. So we filled the pool, and they dug the trench drains that go around the outside of the pool. And in that process, we've hit some electric, and we hit some water lines, and we hit a few other things. So we have that all repaired. The trench drains from the comp pool, all of the bases for the trench drains have been poured. And then they'll go back, they'll set the drains, and then they'll pour around them, and then they start the tile process around those drains.
Okay.
They have that tile. The leisure pool is the one where we're waiting on tile.
Right, that was my second question. They said that they were waiting, but they also said that they are going to make enhancements to the leisure pool. My question is, at whose expense?
I'll have to follow up with Jansen
Okay.
and find out what those enhancements are that they're talking about. I take that back. I do know one of the enhancements, and that is a expense to the city, and that is they're using LED lights in there, and they wanted that for the parties and things that they throw. So they're multicolor LED lights, and there was a substantial upcharge, and the city is taking on all that expense.
Thank you.
So I will follow up and see if there's anything else other than the lights, because the lights is the only thing that I'm aware of
Okay.
that there's a upcharge on.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I just wanted to circle back and let the public, thank the public for their patience while we took a little field trip to the weight room and to the gymnasium as we work on these placards. But I would like to thank the boosters for coming tonight, President Krell Johns and Vice President Bob Kohler. We appreciate everything the boosters does for our student athletes and all of our students in our community, and that weight room is phenomenal. I'm sure there's going to be some pictures posted if they aren't already. I understand that the student athletes also participated, and there was some fundraising going on, and we'd like to thank the coaches and all our athletes and parents, everyone who contributed with that. Is a top-notch facility, and we are lucky to have the cooperation and collaboration, as Mr. Sable spoke earlier, about with so many of our members of our community. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
You're
thank
welcome.
you. All right, thanks.
Mr. Chambers.
And
You're
I'm
up.
bringing everything down. so. Good evening. I just want to quickly summarize June more than any summary we have. The bank balance decreased $6.5 million down to $59 million. This is $8.6 million below last year at this time. It goes to show that we have done what we've said is we're bringing down our balance. We're using our balance that we have in order to extend as far as we can with the monies that we have. The forecasted funds are estimated at 155 days. This is down from May by 29.9 and below last year by 45.4. Again, just to give you a brief explanation of where we are. The summary for July, the district bank balance increased $19.5 million in July to $78.63. This is $8.3 million below last year at this time. The increase is because of tax advances, mainly, and We received our last tax advance here in August. That will take us through December. The 5-year forecasted revenues were below last July by $2.4 million. 5-year expenditures were below last July by $2 million. The reason that expenditures are low is we had, last year we had 2 payrolls in June and 3 in July. This year we had 3 payrolls in June and 2 in July. The sales tax fund balance increased to $4.2 million. The district spent approximately $194,000 on asphalt, roofing, paving, and scoreboards. The district received their second quarter distribution from the county in the amount of $975,000. The rec center capital fund balance decreased to $156,000. The district spent $108,000 in July on the expansion project, which will be fully reimbursed by the city, and the natatorium project. The district has received $110,000 in investment income for July. The total collected for the current fiscal year is approximately $60,000 over last year at this time. And finally, the forecasted funds true day cash is estimated to be 202 days. This is up from June by 46 days, but down from last year by 49 days.
Mr. Chambers, I have some questions.
Yes.
Speaking of true days cash, do we have an ideal where we like to be?
Ideally, there is no ideal. Each school district has their own place where they want to be before they go out for levies. I look at it that we at least want to have, because we run on the fiscal year, and we at least want to have enough money in our balances to cover the next month's payroll and next month's expenses. So to me, that would be the ideal, because then in July, we start getting the property tax advances again. To other districts, I know other districts have, if their balance is less than 50% of their total expenditures, then they start looking at new monies coming in. Others wait until they're, down to a quarter of their expenditures or 10 days worth of 10 days. And to me, that's too late because, as you know, your levy season, some people in the audience knows your levy season actually doesn't begin when the levy is placed on the ballot. Your levy season begins 6 months before that time to try and get everything in shape.
Thank you.
Okay.
They're working on the roof. One more question.
Yes.
Rec center expenses.
Yes.
Are we caught up to, or I'm sorry, is the city caught up to date, or do they still owe us some?
They owe
Money,
us some
okay.
money's coming in with it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, fund-to-fund transfers. I know that these look familiar to the board. These are monies that were receipted into the different buckets, as the athletic department calls them, for each individual sport. We transferred what was in those buckets here. I believe it was October, November, December of this past year. Those were from the prior years. And so we told our athletic director that we'll do the same thing for them to start each year off. And these are just their revenues coming in. The expenditures are all going out of the athletic department fund itself. They're not coming out of these buckets. So we're moving these funds into the athletic department itself. This gives them the ability to look to see what they collected in the prior year, and then, as I said, the monies can be used here this year.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are those fundraising buckets, or is that?
Gate receipts.
Okay.
If they're fundraising buckets, I'm not aware of that. I know that, as I say, they call funds different buckets. Most of these are your gate receipts, your not your concessions, your ticket sales and that type of thing. I can't hear you at all.
Since you
Sorry.
mentioned ticket sales,
Yes.
that other fund, 301, 3001, is that what that is? That 212,000?
Hold on one second.
The second one down?
I know, I have to pull that up. Temporary appropriate. I don't have it in front of me. Your 301, your 301 is your fundraising events for your athletics.
Fundraising.
That's where, if you notice what they pay off to the athletics itself, I'm sorry, your 301 is the main athletic fund. The 303 on through the 321 are your buckets for the other funds itself, the fundraising funds. So that's why you see $700 for your soccer, $9,000 for your boys soccer, $12,000 for your girls. But your 301 is the main athletic account. Sorry, misspoke. I did misspoke. Your 3,000 is your main athletic account. Your 301 is it's known as the other funds, and that's where the athletic department throws in all their different fundraisers itself.
So is that where the play to participate goes, or
Pay to
no?
participate is a general fund.
Thank you.
And the reason for that is the pay to participate goes to pay coaches and any other doings that the athletic department has for benefits and any other expenses that they may have with the participation fees. Yeah. Sorry about the 301. I'm looking at yours, not mine. So. Okay, temporary appropriations. Our temporary appropriations, these are have been updated. Most of the increases were for the Medina High School. They did not have their budgets in here when we did our first temporary back in late June. And so you'll see a number of the increases, your special trust fund, your endowment fund, your 018, your 200 and your 300 funds all increased with Medina High School. I also added on your title grants. These monies are for the new grants, plus we had carryover monies from last year that we could still use. Well, I should say that we have expenditures out there until the end of September. So.
Thank you.
Finally, your 21-22 audit. The board members know this, but I just wanted to put it out there. That was an audit that just lasted so long. Our audit starts in roughly August, September of the fiscal year and is supposed to be over by December of the fiscal year, possibly moving into January and February. In the 2021 audit, the Auditor of State allowed all the fiscal year audits to be delayed until September. So if you recall, the 2021 audit was not done until September of 22. that delayed the 21-22 audit. And they started in September, and they did not get done here until July. And so I just wanted to say it was a long audit. It was a long audit season for my entire department. I had 5 people in payroll during that time. I'm on my second assistant treasurer in that time. So it was just a long audit. It will be out there, posted on our website for those who want to see it. I also have to contact Moody's because Moody's has been anxiously awaiting the audit. So I got to send it off to Moody's for their ratings for us. They gave us a rating of, I believe it was A2, which is where we were before. Where we were before the pandemic, where we are after the pandemic. So just wanted to mention this about our audit.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. Board Communications, Mr. West, would you like to start?
I don't really have much. We didn't have a facilities meeting last month. I think there's one coming up in another, I don't know if it's this month or it's in September. Yeah, it'll be one in September. Other than seeing the pickleball courts, which was nice. It's nice to see a lot of people out there in the community and being very well used. So that's nice that the community's getting a benefit out of it. And other than, I wish luck to all of our former Bs that are now off in college or wherever they're going. I know I took my son back, and all of his friends, and I know Mr. Sable took his daughter out to college. So it's nice, and I know you did too, Becky. So I know a lot of people are taking their children back to college or wherever they're going, and it's nice to see people being successful and going back. So that's a kudos to the Medina City schools and our community. So, but other than that, that's all I've got.
All I have is just want to wish everyone welcome back, staff and students. And to you, Mr. Sable, I think you've done a great job. All the parents and all of the kids, at least in my neighborhood, are like giddy with all the excitement. And I don't think I was ever that way when I was a kid about going back. But they seem really happy, and it's kind of exciting to see that. So well done. And the other thing is, if you haven't had an opportunity, the seniors painted their parking spaces over in the lot right by the football stadium. Some of the paintings are very creative. It's kind of nice to look at. So we always like to browse through there. So just wanted to say that. And then like Ryan said, the pool project's coming along. I saw it at the rec center. The water's in it. And so thanks for all what you're doing over there in expansion.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Mr. Nichols?
Yeah, let's see. I got a couple things that I was going to mention. First off, awesome to see the sports teams practicing and playing their games, getting their seasons underway. That's awesome. I sit directly in between the campus that we're on right now and over by Memorial, so I hear like almost any sporting event that happens. And my son's really excited about the soccer program too. He's starting soccer this year, and he heard there was cheering, and I'm like, oh, there's a soccer game over there, and he's so excited to go over and see a game sometime. So we'll have to see. Maybe an early Saturday. He's got an 8 o'clock bedtime. We can't push it too far. Then the other thing that I wanted to play on is kind of what Mr. Sable had mentioned towards the beginning of the meeting about the whole evolving for the future. I personally live in the mindset of leave things better than when you got there. And I think that's exactly what we're doing here. We're pushing education forward. We're making advancements. We're not just sticking to the usual. I can't speak for everyone, but I'm a big fan and proponent of the idea of, yeah, I graduated, but like just because it was good enough for me doesn't mean it's good enough for the future. And just keeping moving with that and the things that we're doing, even in the last couple years that I've been on the board. Like I'm excited for the future of Medina, athletics, academics, the arts, all of it. Like we're doing some amazing things, and I'm excited to see, the first, I guess, quote unquote, normal year, what can happen here with all the things that we have kind of put in place. So just kind of wanted to mention that, and I think that's really it. I keep staring at those placards, not banners, those placards over there. I'm ready to debate. Let's do it.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Ms. Pritchard?
Okay, I want to congratulate our marching band for being named the best of the best in the Gazette. That was really good because I'm sure they had a lot of competition in the county. The men's and women's golf team are off to a great start. Ladies have captured 2 events in the GCC, and the guys won. I got to watch both of them play recently, and it was, a lot of talent out there. Girls tennis, watched them play last Wednesday when they beat Revere. I also attended Garfield's Meet the Teacher Night, and it was a lot of fun to watch the kindergartners come in, and they're just like, their eyes get big, and then they just start pulling everything out of the little cubby holes, and not theirs, but we got that all handled. And then as I've driven by the schools the past couple weeks, I noticed there's a lot of cars in the parking lots. And I know who those people are. They're the teachers and the staff who come in early to prepare for the school year, and I'd like to thank all of them for spending that extra time. A reminder that Community Spirit Night is September 1st, and we'll get to meet all the little kindergartners as they parade out. The homecoming parade has changed days and route. It will be on Thursday, September 21st. Start at Garfield, go around the square. Starts at 6:30, and it will conclude at the high school, as we hope everybody comes in and supports the girls' volleyball team. And then last, on a sad note, one of the people that I got to work with and have lunch with over my years here, Marty Hussey, who was a longtime media aide at the high school, passed away. And she was very dedicated to helping students and staff, and she'll be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pritchard. A couple of updates. Policy Committee, we did not meet this month. We'll be meeting in September, I believe, with some new things to talk about. Board Curriculum Committee met a week ago, and Mrs. Cassie actually gave the committee some homework. So we have some homework. Joe and I do have some homework, as well as the other members of the committee, before we meet in September to review the new English language arts curriculum at the elementary level. So excited to dig into that a little bit deeper and report back at our next meeting. And I did really want to welcome everyone back. It's hard to believe that it is already the 3rd day of school. I guess we've completed already. Summer went quick, and it's nice to have the teachers back and their students back and see all the busyness going on our different campuses throughout the district. And it is a really exciting time to be a bee right now. We've got a lot going on, and I hope everyone is feeling empowered and hopeful to tackle this new school year. And I do like what Mr. Nichols said about trying to leave things better than we find them. I think that's something we should all do in every aspect of our life. So we are trying to do that here. So welcome everybody back, and I wish everyone a very successful school year. We've reached the time in our agenda for public comment. I don't believe anyone signed in, but if there is anyone here that would like to speak, we would allow that now. And if not, I'm going to waive the rules for the public comment. So we'll waive that and move on to action items for our treasurer.
I'm waiting for more applause, that's all. Sorry. People don't hear that back there. Yes, if it pleases the board, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the June 23rd and July 23rd treasurer's reports. Item number 2, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following fund-to-fund transfers. These were spoken about. Your OHSAA fund is, we in the past had to have a fund for playoffs and drop monies into the OHSAA fund. Mr. Hodke neglected to move monies to his athletic fund that were supposed to be moved last year, so we're making the move this year via a transfer. Otherwise, it would have been a purchase order out of the OHSAA fund. Your rest are, as we spoke about before, moving monies from receipt funds itself. And finally, it's recommended that the Board of Ed approve the following temporary appropriations as was spoken about prior.
I'll make a motion to approve treasurer's action items number I, 2, and 3.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. West. Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Any questions or comments from the board regarding these treasurer's action items? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chambers. You may call roll.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sable, superintendent action items.
Number 1 is donations. It is recommended that the Board of Education accept the following donations to Medina City Schools. The first donation I'd like to point out is the donation of Chromebooks from the after-school summer reinforcement program. These Chromebooks that are being donated to the district will likely be auctioned off, which will result in a monetary donation to the district, as the Chromebooks have already, for our purposes, reached their lifespan. Also want to thank the Blake Elementary School PTO for their support of students at Blake and field trips. This is a big help to us for them to reimburse for transportation fees so that our students can have extra experiences outside of the classroom as part of their academics. Number 2, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the agreements that students placed at Evolve Academy will be provided educational services by the Medina City Schools for the following school districts. And we have Buckeye, Copley-Farallon, Highland, ourselves, Medina, and Wadsworth. Evolve Academy is a self-supportive entity within Medina City Schools. Thus, we have the contracts, including with ourselves, with the Evolve Academy. I do anticipate that throughout the school year, we will likely be presenting some additional contracts with other school districts as the Evolve Academy works to contract other students into the program. Number 3, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the memorandums of understanding that students placed at the Medina County Juvenile Detention Center will be provided educational services by the Medina City Schools for the following districts during the 23-24 school year. And those include all school districts within Medina County. We are the fiscal as well as educational entity at the Medina Juvenile Detention Center. Therefore, we are reimbursed by other school districts for services that we provide, educational services that we provide at the Juvenile Detention Center. So those are our teachers teaching at the Juvenile Detention Center. Number 4, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the memorandum of understanding between the Medina City School District and the Medina County Drug Addiction and Mental Health Board, ADAM Board, to provide grant funds to the Medina City Schools in the amount of $6,000 to operate the drug testing program for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. I do want to thank the ADAM Board for their continued support of our drug testing program through our athletic programs. We will have continued conversation in regards to the possibilities of extending that programming. I know that's a conversation that has come up with myself and some of our board members, as well as some of our administration in the past. So we will look into that in the future, as well as have conversations with some of our other county districts that currently have programs implemented. Number 5, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the memorandums of understanding between the Medina City School District and the following colleges and universities: the Cuyahoga Community College District, Kent State University, Lorain County Community College, and the University of Akron for the College Credit Plus program. We are mandated per Ohio legislation to have partnerships with universities for College Credit Plus program. College Credit Plus program is what allows students in high school and middle school to earn college credit while they are attending public schools. It is our advantage to have these relationships because it allows us to have fixed rates with our financial relationship with these universities and colleges while students are attending College Credit Plus. It does cost us, the district, public schools, a fee in order for our students to be able to attend. So we do pay as a public school district for our students to attend or take classes with these colleges, including the purchase of textbooks and curriculum. And then personnel, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following personnel recommendations pending completion and submission of all required paperwork per our Director of Human Resources. I do want to commend our HR offices, especially our Director, Mr. Jim Shields, for his hard work, as well as our building administration and departmental directors for their hard work in making sure that we have people in place to instruct our students to start off the school year. As we've been talking about, it seems like for many years now, filling positions is a challenge. Just like businesses are seeing, we're seeing the same thing in education, and it's becoming more of a challenge as there have been many stories on the national and local news about educator shortages. So working diligently with the educator shortage to put the best people in place. We've really done an outstanding job in doing that, as well as working on some innovative programming and partnerships with local colleges in order to bring student teachers into the district and create mentoring programs to attract young teachers to the district as well. Also want to point out that our elementary supplemental contracts are being recommended on this agenda tonight as well.
I'll make a motion to approve superintendent action items.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Thank you, Mr. West. Any questions or comments from the board regarding these items?
I just have a couple. Aaron, when you look at that tutoring, the staff for home instruction, is that homeschool kids?
That is not homeschool students. We have situations throughout the year where a student may become eligible for home instruction due to extreme circumstances such as illness. So we ask the board to approve individuals so that we have them ready in the event that a scenario such as that would come up.
Gotcha. And the other question was, Petruzzi, it says, is he the head coach swimming? Because it says where does it say? Tier 2, Director of Swimming. Is that the same thing as head coach?
I'm going to have to refer to Mr. Shields.
I mean,
It is the same as head coach. It's just because he oversees both the girls and the
And
boys
the boys.
programs. There's a separate section in the contract that talks
Thank
about
you.
those situations.
okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? I did just also want to thank the Adam Board for their grant to help us operate our drug testing program. We really do appreciate that, as well as thank Mr. Shields and his staff, because I know it was a very busy summer trying to fill a lot of those open positions, and we do appreciate that. If there's no other questions or comments, Mr. Chambers, if you'll call roll, please.
Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols? Aye. Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
And Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the last item I have to recommend this evening is the agreement with OPSI. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the Ohio Association of Public School Employees, OPSI, Local Number 305, Negotiated Collective Bargaining Agreement, retroactively effective July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026. Our OPSI representatives are our classified positions, which includes our classroom aides, our cafeteria staff, our bus drivers, our custodians, our mechanics, just to name some of them. I know I'm leaving several of them out. I do want to thank them for their collaboration throughout the negotiations process. It truly was a collaborative process to address many issues throughout various parts of their departments that we felt needed to be addressed in ensuring that our employees are equitably treated and are competitively treated in looking at surrounding districts and positions. And that's both in salary, benefits, and I'm excited that they were able to ratify the agreement. And I feel confident that it's in the best interest of our employees and our district moving forward, and it really is a partnership. And I'm proud of the agreement that we came together on.
I'll make a motion to approve the OPSI contract.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Pritchard. Thank you, Mr. Ross. Any questions or comments from the board?
I just share what Mr. Sable said. The collaboration is, thank you with your team and the OPSI 305 leadership to get this done. Thank you.
I echo that as well. I appreciate all of the work the administrative team did, as well as the OPSI leadership team, to work collaboratively on a new contract, and then to work to get this so they could ratify it and we could approve it this evening. I appreciate that, everyone's hard work. Thank you. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, Mr. Chambers, when you're ready, please.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. Nichols? Aye. Mr. West?
Yes.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to make that motion?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Ross.
All right, I'll make a motion. We go into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, and compensation of a public employee or official, discussion with the board's legal counsel of disputes involving the board that are subject of pending or imminent court action, preparation for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment, and specialized details of security arrangements and emergency response protocols where disclosure might reveal information that could jeopardize the district's security.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Chambers?
Yes, Mr. Ross,
Aye.
Mr. Nichols,
Aye.
Mr. West,
Yes.
Ms. Pritchard,
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public portion of the meeting. I would like to let everyone know that we will be not taking any action when we return from executive session. Thank you for attending tonight and enjoy the rest of your evening.